Hi, Margaret. Before we look at this rubric and provide feedback, I wanted to thank you for your submission. And I did notice that the personal goals weren't included here. And that's part of the assignment, so I won't complete the grading on this, but I did want to provide feedback for you and ask at your convenience if you could also attach the goal information that is in the assignment as well. Um, the QCTIP rubric, and let me pull this up here, just looked at a few areas that you're aware of that you can leverage, right? And with a course, it's always about a tweak and rarely about an overhaul. And looking at the syllabus and different ways students can gain information, those are just easy tweaks that you can make. And it would take the syllabus from a necessity to more of a guide and make it an easier experience for you and or the students, right? And with accessibility, and most of us have accessibility areas where we can do better at. And you can always touch base with your Office of Disability Services or using accessibility checkers within your LMS that can help boost that up as well. And I think the only other thing is just a clear link between the learning objectives and the outcomes with activities and assessment. It's always important for any student, right? Especially for adult learners. We kind of know what we're doing and why it's important. And sometimes we push back a little bit if we just feel like it's busy work, right? And maybe some of the challenges the students are feeling between their interaction and this is too much, and that balance you're looking for between interaction versus if we have interaction, it'll just be too much work for the student. Maybe some of that also is there, needing to know what is the outcome here and why is this important, and that's one possibility for helping. And you also identified specific time when students can expect instructor feedback. And that is also important. And I noticed you had put that in the help form. You kind of didn't know in this course when was turnaround time, when can you expect feedback and information back from me as the instructor. And that's identified that as being important for your students as well. We want to know when we submit something, how do we do, right? And what is the feedback? How can I keep growing and moving forward? And let's look at the other rubric now. And I really appreciate your action plan in each of these areas. And you also identified the syllabus there as well, and with the tools that they don't require training. And it's important when you have tools that students, and you've already identified this, that they already know how to use them. And one tidbit that I can add here is that most tools have accessibility information, and we have a page in our syllabus. It's actually a link in our LMS where all the technology has a link to the accessibility functions for students as well. That's kind of a 2-for-1 where we can accomplish some accessibility work as well with our technology. And I don't think with the text and graphics, with not having images in there. And one possibility, though, is with putting images in there is it does allow for some what I call psychological space and additional learning. What I like to do at the beginning of each module is have a course banner or an image that allows students to grasp what the learning outcome is of the upcoming module. And it's just like anything. It's like the picture at the beginning of a textbook, right? It just gives us one more visual. It's like looking at the lid of a puzzle. Just one more expectation of what we can expect in the time to come in that particular content activities. And community. I noticed that you did have a little bit of a tension between all there is to accomplish in the course versus the community. And you mentioned that the students kind of pushed back when you kind of moved in that direction. That might be helpful to kind of find out and get some feedback from the students on what exactly the issue is there. I imagine we all have a bucket, right? And we mentioned this in the live session, I think. There's only so much we can do in a week. And if we feel like already the activities are really keeping us busy, one more thing will just seem like too much. So perhaps one way to look at it is how can interaction accomplish the learning goals as opposed to these are the learning activities, and then discussion is extra, as opposed to how can discussion and collaboration and interaction be part of accomplishing the assignments. That's one possibility and something to think about. And then as far as workload, Rice University, and you could just Google this, I'll make a note to put this in the news forum, but Rice University has a course load calculator, which can also allow you to look at what you're doing in your course, and is that an appropriate load for that particular level of students. And you have a good, I think you have a good handle when you talk about your overall narrative on the course. And it just sounds like certain tweaks that you can make to leverage will just continue to increase a good course. And I think one of the best things that you have going about your course is just your obvious desire and passion for not only your students, but your course and what you're teaching. So thank you. I look forward to getting those goals, and thank you for your submission. I enjoyed reviewing your work.